so cold. Guys. Look, Chad, you see Chad, the snow? Look at the snow. It snowed and it's colding really bad. And it's hard for me to feel the back of my ears, man.
A lot of infighting on the right that I think makes...
It's dark outside and it's not even 5 p.m. Chat, when I used to go to school, okay? I would get out of my classes, dude, okay? And it'd be fully dark outside and it felt depressing as shit.
Makes us look very bad. One thing about there is a lot of infighting on the right that I think makes us look very bad. One thing about liberals, you guys really do stick together and you actually get work done, even when I don't agree with it.
Oh, well, that's just incorrect.
As a liberal, I sometimes see y'all sticking really hard together. And y'all are like, no matter what, we're gonna vote red.
What the fuck?
The far left and the far right are equally problematic.
True.
3, 2,
Well, that's a super agree. Yeah.
I've actually seen both sides. I'm a conservative, and I have seen the far right chastise me for my sexuality, and I've seen the far left chastise me for being conservative.
And hold on.
I've had my own address put on the freeway here in Los Angeles because they feel that my voice should not be out there. So I see the two sides actively doing harm to those of us in the middle who have a really rational voice and want to express ourselves in a safe way.
I appreciate the anecdotal experience that you had, but I think my issue saying that liberals are more problematic, I think everyone is.
What I talk about in my anecdotal incident is where I have never had a conservative physically attack me on the streets for what I am or who I am. They may verbally attack me. I've got that from the left too, but the left has physical attacks on my physical being out on the streets because I'm expressing myself.
So I mean,
multiple.
The opposite for myself. So experiences, as I said, anecdotal.
Right.
Your experience, completely valid, but to say, oh, liberals are worse.
Right. Well, it's not that there's no one worse, which is why I didn't move to strongly agree. My anecdotal experience tells me that there is a group of people on both sides that will do active harm to someone who steps out of their expected narrative.
I feel like when we talk about political extremes, I think one, there is a lack of desire for bipartisanship. The second thing is this kind of playful attachment to facts. People on the far left and the far right, whether we're talking about Israel-Palestine or vaccines, people seem to have very fun activities in terms of just completely making stuff up regarding these two things. And then the third thing is the demonization of political opponents, where people on the far left and the far right engage in this idea that the people on the opposite side of the aisle, they're not just different or have different ideas, they actually hate the country, they want to destroy us.
People get labeled as extremists just for being even pretty centrist, based on our small conversation we had here. I don't think anyone here is extreme.
No.
But going down the street, you might get labeled a crazy leftist or racist. Or
I had to take his shirt off, for real.
It's interesting because when answering this prompt, I sort of hesitated. I've been on both
I don't know how much this, to be honest.
sides of the spectrum. I used to be what I would characterize as a radical leftist. Now I'm sort of right of center, and I feel like I get carried.
There should not be limitations on free speech.
Chat. I was what Disney says about this. I was Disney says about this.
There should not be limitations on free speech.
Guys, this is the dumbest shit ever. Guys, there should not be limitations on free speech. Guys, I feel like if you agree with this, I think it's brain dead.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, see, disagree.
Okay, I hate this prompt.
Yeah, it's a shit prompt.
What?
Yeah, it's a shit prompt because everybody should be in disagree. Because it's a bad prompt.
All agree that direct calls to violence are not acceptable.
There you go, calls to violence. That's what I was gonna say.
You can't scream fire.
Boom. That's what I was gonna say. Guys, that was gonna be my one argument. Guys, calls to arm for violence. Boom, done.
theater. Otherwise, I think
Easy.
that like
Easy
there should be
answer.
announcements on college
So easy.
campuses, like doing their ideology. You should be allowed to say basically whatever rhetoric you want, as long as it's not like violating the terms of service of a platform. I do agree that vaccine misinformation is harmful. I do agree that misinformation relating to conspiracy theories is harmful. But I don't think the proper way to go about addressing that is to lock it all down and to ban it. I like the steps that YouTube has taken, where they might put a note under the video, or what Twitter, or the social media platform formerly known as Twitter, called X, is taking, where they have like the community note system.
I was thinking the very same thing as you. Of course, there are certain things that you cannot do, even with free speech being present. And I'm not sure how you define hate speech. So with some of the hate speech laws
but she's wrong, though, because then that means that there's a limitation. By definition, what she just said is a limitation. So her answer is disagree, not agree.
coming about, I think those need to be reevaluated and maybe rolled back, because even people who we disagree with or we don't like or we view as evil should still be able to espouse their beliefs.
Right. For example, right now, what's going on with students on campus, I don't agree that Congress and other individuals should limit what students are talking about on campus, what's going on in Gaza, what's going on in Israel, with the crackdown on JVP, the crackdown on Students for Justice for Palestine. The people who are in power should understand that students are the most, I would say, abrasive when it comes to speaking out against injustices.
I'm a free speech absolutist. I think that there should be repercussions to certain free speech, but it's a constitutional right, and that's where I stand.
That makes
I don't
no
want
sense.
any apps being banned. I don't want people being banned from certain apps. And I think
That-
there's an attack on our First Amendment right now. Yeah.
So you think no one should be banned
It's
from?
gonna be understand the prompt.
No,
They don't even understand the prompt.
absolutely
So
not.
like someone calls me like the F slur, you like leave them.
Yeah.
Why?
I get called that
Because
all the
that's their
time.
right to say that. Now, you can. There should be measures
Yeah.
taken to where, like I said, there are.
Guys, if you get punished for talking freely, that's not free speech. That means that there's a limitation. Guys, I think there should be some consequences for this. Okay, well that means that there's a limitation for free speech. That's just how it is. Like,
Repercussions to certain speech. I don't think
guy
the
is
platform
bugging.
should be
They're all-
able to
these are all
remove
bugging.
them, but I think you should have the right to block them like we already can now,
Right.
because
I agree with-
I've lost 3 Instagram profiles just for saying, oh, I don't think children should have sex changes under the age of 18. Account's gone. Like, I've lost thousands of followers and stuff for just saying things that I think are just common
I do have a
sense,
question
so.
for you, actually.
Yeah.
Because I can understand why
Surely
like
that's
hearing a
what
word
happened.
like that is harmful, and it's not something that you want to deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you rather know who's homophobic, though? Wouldn't you rather know who's racist?
Yeah.
These platforms have the right as private businesses to say what they want on those businesses. It's not cancel culture for them to take down slurs. And honestly, they're not that great at taking down slurs anyway. Because I get called a on a daily basis online just for being a Jewish person.
The unfortunate thing is this internet and social media has become the town square. And the town square, if you were to take a box and put it in the town square, there is no limit on what you can say. And who's to say the city's gonna come down and say, you use the word and we're gonna take your soapbox and you can't ever come back to my city? That's exactly what you're doing when you're saying the platform has every right to remove this language.
You have the option to go to another platform. There's plenty of
So we
conservative.
have an option to go to another city then.
There's plenty of conservative platforms
Yo,
Now you
that
have no free
Yo, a city, oh my God, I can't, I'm over it.
speech.
you have free speech because you have so many options.
I think we have to be really.
You have to compare that to a house, not a city. A house is a privately owned fucking place by somebody, right? And since it's privately owned, they can have their own rules to what's going on in the house, even though there are rules, and that's just what it is, though, dude. If it's in the middle of the city, that's public and shit. That's different.
Careful when we talk
Not
about the
the same
concept
thing.
of free speech. I like the concept of free speech, and I would defend that across multiple platforms. But that's fundamentally different than the First Amendment. The First Amendment has nothing to do with like the concept of free speech.
Right.
The First Amendment prohibits Congress or state or local governments from making laws specifically abridging your right to freedom of speech. Like hate speech laws don't exist in the United States because there's not hate speech. Hate can be an aggravator to an existing crime, but we don't outlaw certain types of speech. Twitter does not have a legal obligation. It's a violation of their First Amendment right to say they have to host whatever type of speech or tweet that somebody has on the platform.
And a hate crime and a hate incident are two different things too. And I wanted to say, like, if somebody called you, you know, the F word, and then they said they wanted to kill you, then that's a hate crime, and that's not protected, right?
Correct.
But a hate incident, somebody could call you an F word and not say they want to kill you, and that's still protected.
Exactly. It can be an aggravating circumstance to an existing crime, but you can call somebody whatever you want, and it's not.
I often criticize my own political party.
Guys, which I think freedom of speech should protect. Why? Because who dictates what words and what things you can't do, right? That's what we call, that is a classic slippery slope, dude. Okay, you can't say this anymore. Oh, you can't say fat. Oh, you can't say short. Oh yeah. And well, at one point, there's a good fucking. You have to put your foot on the ground and say, oh well. My personal belief is that I agree with this. I agree with you should be able to say you are fat. Boom, and then, boom. I mean, shit. It was what it is.
3.
What did you say? I don't care about this. True. You know what? Violence should never be the answer. You know what? Oh, it's a bad prompt again. Any issue? Bruh. Nah. Guys, I have to majorly disagree. But only on a few exceptions. Let's see.
To any issue. 3, 2, 1.
Guys, it's a super hardcore disagree. Come on, Destiny.
Hey there.
Dude, why does Destiny only go to disagree? Go to hardcore disagree, bro.
There, it's Amala.
Hey, I'm Destiny.
Do you want to be in a Jubilee video?
If so, go to jubileemedia.com/cat.
New badge punk.
Or click the link below this video and you can apply.
Now let's get back to it.
I mean, violence, assuming we have a functioning democracy, I think violence is bad for two huge reasons. One is because we don't want to condition people to feel like violence is the answer to political disagreements. And then two, we want everybody to be able to utilize some form of protest against the government. And when we endorse violence, we're now saying it's okay for even people we disagree with to use violence, and that can be really scary for a lot of different reasons. But I would say in general, in 99%, where we're at today in the United States, we are not at the level of where violence is necessary to enact any kind of political change.
I wouldn't say that's entirely true. I mean, there's a certain level of violence happening to marginalized communities. That doesn't mean I necessarily agree with violence when it comes to the Palestinian rebellion that's been happening in Israel. I don't agree with Hamas killing people, that's terrorism, but at the same time, the violent uprisings that have happened, most of which have actually been peaceful, but still there is some sort of violence happening because they've been oppressed for so long. Back in the Holocaust, people think that, Jews went peacefully into the concentration camps. No, we were violent. We had uprisings, we fought back. At a certain point, there is violence in fighting back to oppression.
Agree, because I don't strongly agree with it, because I'm all about nonviolence in my life.
Guys, I agree, because for me it was violence should never enter any issue. Brother, you're cornered and have nowhere to run. Somebody's in your house with a fucking gun and you have a gun. Whoa, brother, okay, bing bong. That is the answer to the issue. I ain't fucking dying, fuck this shit. I'm just gonna let myself perish. There's nowhere to run, nowhere to whatever. That issue, there's only way out. It's to defend. Well, I mean, shit is what it is, bro.
Violence
is unfortunately the issue here.
I'm all about nonviolence.
The solution.
But at the same time, as I organize and I'm on the ground and I'm at protests and I'm at demonstrations, by any means necessary means, right?
Are you dumb, dude? Then just ask the gun to stop. Fuck, dude. No, I didn't think about that, guys. Sir, I do not consent or agree with this current situation. Do not.
Malcolm X, that you have to have some form of disagreement with the state that's not listening to your needs as people, as free people. And sometimes that takes, rebellious actions like burning down banks or burning down listening to your needs as people, as free people. And sometimes that takes, rebellious actions like burning down banks or burning down institutions that are not listening to you. But as Black people in America, if we're only demanding liberty and justice. We're not asking for revenge. We're just asking for equality. And sometimes I think the state looks at us being resistant as violence.
Oh.
Sure, yeah, the reason I came over here, I was thinking more internationally.
My birthday, I'm turning 20 away. Have a great day, Mr. PVCX.
I understand. Want something, then ask something. If they don't listen, just burn it. Ah.
The country's met with violence. There's really only one way to respond to that. I don't think Israel could go to Hamas and say, hey guys, can you just not do that again? When Hamas is already saying that they plan more attacks that they had on October 7th. So I think Israel has the right to defend themselves with violence.
Sure, I think there's a couple of key things to keep in mind here. So one is, when we talk about like violence in response to political ideas, we have to be really careful that we don't redefine violence to mean literally anything that we don't like. Because I've noticed that like people are doing these things where like there is a white supremacist violence against black communities because of the way money is distributed with our taxes. And people will take that very academic form of violence, which is, and it's okay I think to have this analysis, but they'll take that academic form of violence and they'll say, now we can kill police officers and burn down buildings. Or now we can engage in arson or destroy neighborhoods.
My side is misrepresented by the media.
Well, no shit.
2,
Well, no shit.
1.
What?
Honestly, the media is controlled by the left. I really never see any positive light shine on conservatives nor the right in the media ever, unless it's right-leaning media.
And to your point, what I think is really interesting to even just look at the conservatives who are here today, it's a pretty diverse bunch of people. And when I was on the left, my characterization of conservatives was like white, heterosexual, old man, and to having moved over to that space and see, oh, there's way more people who just happen to have conservative beliefs, or maybe they don't agree with some of the woke stuff that's happening right now. I think we are often mischaracterized.
Guys, I do agree that right now.
Guys, if you agree with this, this means that the media is never biased on any side. It's literally just proven that every single fucking media outlet is biased one way or another. Even if it's 1% biased on one side or another, there is then a basic fucking de facto misrepresentation. It's just the basis of it.
Now, ironically, it seems like the left and the farther left have more kind of corporate media control in terms of how images are displayed. So you're going to feel like, if you're a conservative, that you're not accurately represented, and the left maybe gets some more fair representation. But on platforms where conservatives run things, holy Christ, are people on the left completely and totally misrepresented. Like, how many times have I heard these stupid quotes from the WEF where it's like, oh, you want us to rent everything and own nothing, and you want us to eat bugs, and you're on your 57th booster shot. Today, if anybody's ever listened to Rush Limbaugh, Michael Savage, Billy Cunningham, like any of these people, these guys are not giving fair, accurate representation of the left. Their voices just tend to be more marginalized or smaller now in media because of how much corporate control kind of like bows to the woke agenda, I would say.
I'd like to push back on that just a little bit. I agree with a lot what you're saying, but when it comes to right-wing media, maybe platforms like the Daily Wire or PragerU, they're very open about the fact that they're conservative. A lot of the mainstream left news, they'll present their opinion as fact. But like someone like Ben Shapiro, he'll tell everyone, listen to my show, listen to
I don't disagree with that, actually.
Figure out what you think is right, listen to and you could figure out the facts based on what we're both saying. You don't see that as much from the left.
I want to push back on that because Ben Shapiro has stated a lot of opinions as facts.
Yeah.
I don't think I think that there are better examples to use within the Conservative Party that are more open.
He means people being more deliberate, right, about the inclination instead of being like a wolf in sheep's clothing, is what he's saying.
About being opinionated, but Ben Shapiro is not.
Yeah, or Michael Knowles saying transgenderism should just be eradicated from society.
The American dream.
You
live in the American dream.
3, 2, 1.
You know what? Neutral on this. Neutral.
I feel like when upward class mobility is so hard as it is right now, the American dream is
Guys,
it's either dead or it's on life support because it's just damn near impossible for people to climb out of poverty. Everyone thinks that they're going to be the next Jeff Bezos. You're closer to being on Skid Row than you're ever going to be to Jeff Bezos.
I think the American
cars,
dream
kids,
has become
fucking
the
house and shit
American
like that?
memory. Like I was thinking about this just outside of politics. Like, you know how a lot of people have nostalgia for like the past and stuff. It made me look at America and it's like, we're not gonna get back the America that we were post 9/11 when everybody was a little more unified outside of the patient.
Guys, conceptually, because of the economics,
Very poggers, very cool.
I do agree that it's fully locked in.
React and everything. We're not going to get the America where all races could get along without people saying, "Oh, you're culturally appropriating, you're microaggressions," all that, all that little stuff that keeps us divided. I don't think we'll get back to the America that we grew up in. I honestly don't. Like, I want to be optimistic, but it's hard.
I guess I just don't know that that's the necessary point of the American dream. I think it shifts and it changes and it takes on the context of the time that it's in, where we had that sort of old school nuclear family, house with the white picket fence. That's changing with technology and corporations buying up properties and things like that. But I don't think the American dream is dead. I think it's taking on a new form. I think still there is no better place to be.
No better.
But the bottom who are
Have of the American dream.
They
I feel like a lot of the views you have of the American dream get so politically tainted that one of the things that sucks is for the cool things that are happening in America, you can't even take credit for it anymore. I hate that I chose like the most politically divisive topics, but like, for instance, like I personally think the COVID vaccine, that was a huge success of United States innovation and capitalism. I think our guns are really cool. I think that's like super awesome. You can shoot awesome firearms in the United States. I'm a proud gun owner from Nebraska. It seems like for all the things that exist that are good, we can't take credit for them anymore because all of them become so heavily politically divided that we start to have this huge doomer outlook on everything.
I think it's really hard for some people to have that optimistic outlook when there is so much in the way. Like I, as a disabled person, we're still forgotten about with marriage equality. We're still forgotten about when it comes to health mandates. For a lot of people who live this every day, for us, the American dream is dead, and it's been dead for a while.
I just think like the fact that we're all here and like clothed and fed and have water, and we're here discussing ideas and like how to make this country a better place, to me that completely signifies the American dream we are currently living it.
That's like, as you said, like a really optimistic view, like, oh, look how far we've come, but what if that's not enough for those people?
Guys, I think on a lot of points, people want to do some shit, right? And they want to be called out for it, right? A lot of things are possible. You can do them, right? People will give you some pushback, right? Maybe here and there, but you're allowed to do a bunch of shit that you want to do, right?